As Sweden's most notorious gang fell apart, the leader and his former right hand became sworn enemies that battled each other in a relentless feud. The entire game shifted, and the man we will be discussing in this video became the new right-hand man of Sweden's most wanted gang leader. As you can imagine, taking on this position wasn't without the necessary risk. It made him top target number 2 to be taken out. However, nobody could foresee how this man outsmarted his enemy. It truly blew my mind when I looked into this story, which happened only a few weeks ago at the time of writing this. Make sure to stay with me till the end, because the man in this video had a trick up his sleeve that could win him an Oscar. This is the story of Mustafa Aljiburi. Mustafa Aljiburi, also known as Benzema, is a 34-year-old man who was born in the northern part of Stockholm. In the past, he has been convicted for several drug smuggling offences and sentenced to serve time in prison. Besides the Swedish nationality, Mustafa also holds the Iraqi nationality. He currently resides in Iraq and he's on the run from both the Swedish and Turkish authorities. Mustafa is seen as an important organiser for shipments and drugs coming into Sweden for the Foxtrot gang, according to the Swedish police. As of late, Mustafa has emerged as Rawa Majid's new right-hand man, after Rawa split with his former associate, Ismail Abdo. I've made a video about this too, be sure to check it out for all the details. But for those of you who are unaware, here's a brief summary. Rawa Majid, the leader of the Foxtrot gang, has had a falling out with his former right-hand man Ismail Abdo. This feud has led to a series of violent incidents, including shootings, bombings, and attacks on family members of the gang leaders throughout Sweden and beyond. The reasons behind the feud allegedly include disputes over drug shipments, disagreements about the use of violence, and speculation that Rawa has set up its own couriers to increase profits. The violence has escalated to the point where innocent civilians have become victims, people fleeing the country for their safety, and as an unprecedented low, Ismail's mother was taken out. The outcome of the feud remains uncertain. It's still going on as we speak, with both sides showing determination to win the conflict. In the background, gang loyalty appears to be shifting, with some former allies of Rawa pledging allegiance to Ismail. Mustafa decided to stay loyal to Rawa. They have known each other for a long time. This picture of them is actually taken back in 2015 in front of the IKEA in Uppsala. According to the Swedish police, the two have met in prison. As expected, this loyalty turned Mustafa into another target for Ismail Abdo. Little did Ismail know, Mustafa would have a trick up his sleeve that would surprise everyone and could earn him an Oscar. Stay with me. The month of September 2023 is when the feud exploded and was filled with attacks going back and forth, though most of these attacks came from Ismail Abdo's side. After Ismail's mother was taken out on the 7th of September, he sought nothing but revenge. It is important to note that most individuals that were directly related to the feud had escaped Sweden a few years prior already. This left their family members as potential targets. On the 25th of September, just a few minutes past 9 in the evening, an explosion went off in the stairwell of an apartment building in Hässelby. It wasn't some small explosion. This explosion was very powerful. It was made and placed with the intent to cause serious harm to the targeted apartment and potentially even the people inside. A CCTV camera captured the sound of the explosion. Let's listen to it. Pictures of the aftermath show that the explosion did not only damage the front door of the building, but also the back door. The doors were quite literally blown away on both sides. 3 people had gotten hurt and were taken to the hospital. Luckily, none of them were seriously injured. The crime scene in Hässelby wasn't even cleaned up yet, when there was already another explosion just 9 hours later, this time in Linköping, almost 300 kilometers away from Hässelby. It was 6 in the morning when residents were abruptly shaken out of their beds by an explosion so ferocious that the entire front of the apartment building blew right off. The bomb was placed in the stairwell of the building once again. After the explosion, you could see the inside of one of the apartments. All the residents of the building were immediately evacuated and taken to a nearby gymnasium for their own safety. According to the bomb squad that arrived on the scene, the building was so damaged that certain parts could collapse completely. Despite the magnitude of the explosive, only 2 women suffered minor injuries. It could have been way worse. Local Linköping police officer Ann-Christine Reinström could not yet confirm that the attack was directly related to the Foxtrot gang feud and said, "We can only determine that there is an ongoing national as well as international conflict. It's no longer limited to the big cities, but the smaller cities of Sweden are affected as well." Despite the area frequently being surveyed by police cars, drones and fixed cameras, that an incident like this could have happened disappointed all the residents. What these attacks had to do with each other and Mustafa? Well, Contrary to what police officer Anne Christine said, various news outlets stated that it did have something to do with the feud and Mustafa specifically. Both addresses were linked to him. The address in Hasselby was linked to a woman close to Mustafa, and the address in Linköping was linked to a family member of Mustafa. An 18-year-old suspect was arrested for the attack shortly after it happened. After spending the night in jail, he was interrogated the next morning. During the interrogation, he did not specify if, why, or for whom he carried out the attack. The streets knew the answer to those questions, though. September 2023 was marked as the worst month for shootings since 2016. Most of all the attacks being attributed to the Foxtrot feud. During all the explosions and shootings, 11 people lost their lives, some of which were innocent civilians. Another painful detail is that, in just a 12-hour time frame, there were 3 people who fell victim to the violence. Meanwhile, the aggressors behind most of these attacks remained safely at bay outside the borders of Sweden. Therefore, the attacks that occurred back on Swedish soil were often aimed at associates or relatives of the key players Ismail, Rawa, and Mustafa. As I have said earlier, after Ismail's mother fell victim to the feud, he sought his revenge. He wanted Rawa and Mustafa's heads. Too bad for Ismail that the last one mentioned had a plan that would blow everyone's mind. Ismail couldn't get to Rawa as he was allegedly hiding in Iran, making him shift his focus on Mustafa. Word on the street was that he had put a price on Mustafa's head and was actively seeking people who could fulfill the job for him. The price was allegedly $1 million. Here's where it gets absolutely insane, so pay attention. The rumor of Ismail wanting to take out Mustafa started to spread around, even though it was no surprise, of course. It was obvious that in this feud, everyone from the opposite side was a target and a potential victim. Then, sometime later, another rumor started spreading around. Mustafa was successfully taken out in Iraq by rogue police or hitters that were hired by Ismail. The rumor even reached the Swedish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, though they could not confirm whether it's true or not. However, shortly after the rumors spread, it looked like the rumors were true, as several pictures and videos of Mustafa were shared. He is shown being apprehended, and afterwards shown as if he fell the victim to a shooting while seated in a car. As those pictures started surfacing, people close to Mustafa posted pictures, grieving the loss of their friend. Then, a video was posted showing people lighting off fireworks. These were allegedly by Ismail's men, celebrating that Mustafa had been taken out. Ismail paid the $1 million reward and was under the impression that he did some serious damage to Rawa Majid and his Foxtrot gang. But no one could have thought what actually had happened. They were in for a shock, because little did they know. Foxtrot gang affiliate and rapper 50 posted a message on his Instagram story stating, "Hello folks, an important announcement to the public. Today, at 8 o'clock, I will have an Instagram live you don't want to miss. I will bring with me a very special guest." As 50 is a rapper, many expected it to be related to new music he was releasing. But it had nothing to do with music. As a total surprise, Mustafa joined the Instagram live to show that he was still alive and well, and that the pictures and videos that were spread around were staged by him and his associates. During the Instagram live, he is parading a golden Kalashnikov, while being surrounded by his associates boasting firearms as well. One of the men in the background can be seen eating strawberries, a direct reference to Ismail, whose nickname is Strawberry. At its peak, nearly 20,000 people tuned in. Mustafa laughed and went on to boast how he staged his passing for multiple days, saying something along the lines of, "Hey brothers, have you heard it? Benzema passed. For $1 million. You gave $1 million for a picture with Benzema in handcuffs. Benzema fooled you." He went on to threaten Ismail Abdo's family member that is a prosecutor, who interestingly enough worked on cases about the Foxtrot gang. He also accused her of giving Ismail Abdo information about them, certain suspects, and other incidents that happened. After this video, she was suspended from their operational duties for the time being. He also addressed the rumors Ismail spread around about him hiding. "How am I hiding? I am the man in my home country. Meanwhile, you have yet to take one of us out. All you hit are innocent people," referring to the many innocent civilians that have fallen victim to the feud. It begs the question how Ismail must have felt hearing the news and seeing the video. It must have been a total shock. He literally paid his own sworn enemy $1 million out of his own pocket. How could this have happened? Well, what Ismail did not know was that Mustafa's Iraqi contacts had made Mustafa aware of his plans. This allowed Mustafa to come up with the idea to stage his passing and collect the bounty on his own head. After seeing Mustafa being captured, Ismail allegedly paid $500,000. After seeing the video of Mustafa taken out in the car, he paid another $500,000. Mustafa in turn can be seen flexing the money and saying, "I will donate half to charity and the other half I will use for my soldiers to go after you." A very intriguing statement. After Rawa Majid, Mustafa is the second top target to take out for Ismail. He thought he already did that, but unfortunately for him, Mustafa was too smart this time around. Ismail will most likely only be more determined to get it right a second time around. However, Mustafa will now also have plenty of motivation and money to go after Ismail. We can only wait and see how this will unfold. If you are just as curious as I am, or maybe even more, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you are never missing a video. It also helps the channel grow, so please also consider leaving a like and a comment. If the channel grows, I can continue making more and better videos, a true win-win. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.